Me okay? Are you able to hear me, Anas? I see you signed in. I'm just gonna confirm it.
Christina, did you want me to test out that YouTube link?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, because I can send it out to everyone that joins the Hangout and tell them just to view it from YouTube if that works.
Yeah, I changed the link within the meeting request.
Oh, you did? Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Anas, are you able to hear us okay? Maybe I'll just ping him over Hangouts. Okay, looks like Anas can't hear us, but it does look like she's signed into audio. I'm just pinging with her now.
Yeah, hopefully she was able to choose using computer for audio. I know some people can miss that audio connection.
Yeah, well, there's that little like computer icon next to her name, so that should mean that she. Oh, you can hear us? Try speaking so we can see if we can hear you too. Oh, you were. Uh-oh. Okay, thanks. She can hear us. She's just trying to figure out why we can't hear her.
Almost there.
Almost. Maybe try disconnecting and reconnecting to the WebEx audio. That could help.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I'm just glad that we got it worked out. That's awesome.
Perfect.
Well, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we're excited to show you what we've been working on here. So I'm Christina. I'm a UX researcher on the customer experience team.
Okay.
And I've also got Dion on the line. So Dion, if you want to.
So I'm a product designer on the CX team.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're both going to be on the line here. I'm going to be asking the majority of the questions. Dion's going to be observing and taking some notes, but he'll probably interject with some questions of his own from time to time. So to give you a little bit of context as to what we're doing and why, as you know, ATB is reimagining our online business banking system. And as a part of this effort to improve the online experience for our business clients and for our CFS clients, we're also redesigning the tools that our team members use and rely on to help make our clients' online experience as great as it can be. So specifically, as you know, what we're looking at today is a new version of what we're calling the Team Member Admin Console. So as we go through and I eventually get you on the prototype to take a look and to explore and get your feedback, what I'm going to do is have you kind of forget all the tools that you're currently using.
Right.
And we're going to pretend that this is what's available now. This is the tool that you're going to be using to support our business clients. So I'm excited to get that in front of you, and I'll be gathering your feedback by way of having you do just some everyday work tasks using the new prototype.
Okay.
So I just want to note a couple things though before we do get started. I am recording the session, and that's to help me make notes and analyze later. But we also have hooked up to the system a few of our product folks that are streaming via YouTube. It's a private link. But what we're doing by doing that is just trying to be a little bit more agile and trying to get the feedback to the people who can make the changes as quickly as possible, so that they're able to iterate and to improve upon that without having to necessarily wait for me to provide them with the feedback.
For sure. If I could just interject a question.
Sure.
So are we working on making the process easier for us as team members or for the customer?
Yeah, so for making the process easier for you guys as team members, for sure.
Okay.
But this is going hand in hand with also making the process easier for our clients.
Okay.
But today what you're going to be looking at is the admin console. It's the team member experience. It's the tool that you're going to be, a version of the tool that you're going to be using to help these clients.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I also wanted to mention that I have no personal stake in the project, so it's impossible to hurt my feelings. I want you to be as honest as you can be with your feedback.
Okay, that's no problem.
All right.
I have the opposite problem.
Good. No, that's lay it all out. Do you have any questions though about the setup or anything that we're doing here before we kind of jump in?
No, I'll ask as we go.
Sure, that sounds good too. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to open up the prototype to show you, but I'd like to ask just a few questions to help me put things into context first.
Sure.
So tell me what a typical workday actually looks like for you.
A typical workday right now with our team being reimagined and a lot of processes changing, we are basically responding to leads all day.
Okay.
Coming from customers themselves or coming from other team members, whether it be RFS or care.
Okay.
That's the majority. So basically all day kind of just being responsive, setting customers up with their online banking, their cash management services, support, and things like that. We are trying to work towards a more proactive approach in reaching out to those customers, but we're still a little reactive right now on the day-to-day.
Okay. Well, what does it look like typically when the customers are reaching out to you directly?
So now that the phone calls are gone, they don't get to reach out to us directly anymore.
Okay.
Unless it's through an email through ATB Business. And in that case, it's usually just like, this service or system isn't working, I need help.
Okay. So support.
But when they call care and care gives us the call or the lead, it's usually that kind of similar thing. I need this changed or updated or modified. Okay.
What are some of the things that they're typically needing changed or updated? I think you mentioned with relation to services.
Yeah, so there's a lot with online banking. They don't have their e-transfer capabilities. They forgot their password. They need to set up services like to pay their employees, to pay their government taxes, to remit their taxes.
Right.
MasterCard requests.
Okay.
So things of that nature for the most part.
Okay, cool. And tell me a little bit about the tools that you're currently using to help our clients, our customers.
Yeah, so we use obviously CRM to understand the customer, recommendation engine.
Okay.
And then just in regards to like software tools to communicate with the customers, we use DocuSign.
Okay.
And then for ourselves, like what we're doing to actually get the process started is we're just using good old fashioned forms. We just need to fill out a bunch of forms, send them to other teams. That team fulfills that request, and then the customer is notified.
Okay, and how's the customer typically notified at the other end that something's been done for them?
Via email.
Via email, okay. And you mentioned,
so they call us or they email us or whatever, and they say, I need ABC. We say, okay, great. We're going to send out a request, and this team will let you know via email 24 to 48 hours what your username is or your password, how you access this new service that you just requested or so forth.
Okay. And what does that email typically look like? Like, do you attach any documents there? Are there any instructions?
So it depends on like the service in question. There's some emails that they don't CC us on, but like with online banking, it's just like, hey, John Doe, thanks for choosing ATB Financial, blah, blah, blah. This is your new username. This is how you're going to access it. Find your password enclosed in a separate email for security purposes.
Okay.
With Canada, it's like with their tax payment, they send them out an email that says, hey, John Doe, this is for your company, blah, blah, blah. Find your PFS ID, call this number should you have any questions, etc.
Okay, fair enough. And you mentioned using the recommendation engine. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so when we have a customer that we're reaching out to, we put their business profile into the recommendation that maybe they don't need or what they don't have that they may not know that they need. So that when they call, we're doing more than just saying, okay, we're going to give you just what you asked for. So we can kind of go above and beyond for them.
Okay.
And then it also shows us you need a certain form signed to have certain services set up. It shows us if that form's been signed or not. So we can kind of say, hey, we need to do this step before we do the next step.
Okay. So thinking about all of those tools that you're using, Ines, what are some of the things that work really well for you and that really help you get your job done?
I feel like honestly, most of the leg is just in the actual setup process. Like just filling out the forms is a little tedious,
okay.
But recommendation engine is definitely up there with being super helpful. It's a nice insight into like what the customer has going on in their business. It shows you how much they have in their accounts and if they're mass market or relationship managed or etc. So I feel like that helps the most with understanding the customer.
Okay.
In regards to actually getting like the process done, that's just still a little bit of what we're working on improving, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what are some of the most frustrating parts of the tools that you're using?
It's just kind of repetitive information. You have to list like the same thing 10 times on one form, you know what I mean, and send it out. And then, I mean, that's no big deal, right? That's just the job. It's no problem. But then there's also waiting for the fulfillment team. So I feel like it's mostly that when a customer reaches out to us, we can't instantaneously help them. We kind of have to send them through another, wave of waiting or another party who, what if they don't get back to them or what if it's not fulfilled or etc.
Okay. Yeah, there's a whole chain of movement
so
after that.
Kind of wishing that once they contacted you, you're like bam, wham, done, right? But it's not.
Okay. Well, if you had a wish list, what are the top 3 things that you would like to see implemented into this new admin console to help specifically with business?
In regards to like me, like how it would help me and my team and my coworkers?
Yeah, you as a team member.
Can you give me an example of some of your ideas?
Yeah, sure. So the admin console that we're you to register new clients for online banking. It will allow you to set their limits, change the services that they have, add or take them away, and also just provide those clients with ongoing online support. Things like you mentioned, like password changes and some more things that we'll take a look at here.
Well, honestly, that's basically it. Like that would make such a big difference in our lives if the access to change what they had going on online was quicker than, again, sending out that fulfillment form and waiting for it and not knowing what's going to happen.
Right. Okay.
So the online banking in general is definitely a big stepping stone to just improving everything.
Okay. Dion, do you have any questions before we kind of jump into some of our scenarios here?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, I think I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you the prototype. And as I mentioned, I'm going to have you just complete some everyday tasks. As you go through them, try to think out loud as much as possible. It just allows us to know kind of what your mind frame is at, what sticks out for you, what seems odd, that sort of thing.
Sure.
And just to make it clear, what we're doing through all of this is testing the prototype, not you by any means. So don't worry about making mistakes. Yeah, don't worry about, there's no right or wrong answers.
Okay, no worries.
Okay, so let me get the screen open for you. Okay, are you able to see this okay?
Yeah, I can do.
Okay, perfect. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you mouse control as well. And just let me know when you're able to move that mouse around.
Great, I got it.
Perfect. So I'm going to paint a bit of a picture for you now.
Sure.
You received some paperwork that ATB has a new client called Adventus Inc. And you'd like to check whether Adventus Inc. has a BP number yet, and if so, they will need to be added on to online business banking. So again, assuming that all of the tools that you currently have are in the past, we're in a brave new world, this is what you're working with. I'd like you to show me how you would go about completing this task.
Okay, and this is also a new engine.
Yes.
Is that how you spell it?
Yep, that's perfect. Talk to me a bit about the information that you're looking at here.
Okay, so I'm searching for the company because it doesn't have a BP yet.
Okay.
Or I'm assuming it doesn't. And it is listed here and it's not enrolled.
Okay.
So I'm gonna click on it.
What are you looking at on this page?
So this is showing me the customer's information, their address, their email. It is showing me our ATB contacts. These are the people who open their account, I'm assuming.
Okay. How useful is that information for you, Ines?
I guess pretty useful in regards to if we need to bounce back to someone to talk to on the account opening process.
How
that
often?
Information can be missing from CRM quite often.
Okay. How often are you actually needing to track those names down and follow up?
Honestly, very rarely.
Okay.
Just in the occasion of the customer saying, I spoke to said and they said so and so.
Okay.
But it's still kind of nice to have a reference, but it's not the most useful thing.
Okay, fair enough.
And then this is the relationships.
Okay.
It's named hierarchy as opposed to relationships. Okay. So is this set in order then? Parent company, subsidiary, director.
Yeah, tell me about this family tree here. How do these all relate?
So this is their parent company.
Okay.
And are these that are listed under it, these are for Adventus or for their parent company?
What would you assume if you were just by yourself and looking at this?
From the sub tab, I would assume it's for Adventus.
Okay.
And that if I wanted to see the other subsidiaries or directors, I would have to click on this.
Okay. To see the ones that are under Adventures, you mean?
That's what I would assume.
Okay.
Just by looking at it here, it looks like it's just trying to tell me that this is their parent company.
Okay.
This is them and their subsidiary director, signer, and admin.
Okay.
And then same thing here, I would have to click on the Bakery Ltd or Johnson's Ltd to see more information on those said companies.
Okay. And so
Am I assuming correct?
Well, how does, based on what you see, how does Bakery differ from Johnson's?
You know, I don't know actually, because it's listed in that same region. It's not back here
Okay.
like Johnson's. What is the difference here?
Again, I'm gonna throw it back on you. What would you assume if you were by yourself?
That it's something linked to Adventus.
Okay.
More closely than the other companies.
Okay. And based on what,
because it's listed right here as if it has a different relationship with this company than these do.
Okay.
Can't click on it. So how do you, oh, you just go next. Okay.
Well, let me actually delve a little bit more into this, the hierarchy or the relationships part here.
Yeah.
What else can you tell about these companies based on the information that you're shown at a glance?
September 20. They were all started on the same day.
Okay.
And then I can't. It says currently at the moment. It just looks like the other three are just sub companies of the Adventures Inc.
Okay. And how useful is this information for you at this point in time?
Really useful in regards to sometimes it doesn't show you what other business accounts companies hold, and then they're always coming back and asking about those accounts linked or showing or so forth.
Okay.
So it's great that they're all already there like that, because on CRM you would have to go and manually input and link these to each other.
Okay.
So like John Wick could have, Adventures Inc. and Adventures Inc. and you wouldn't know that he is both unless you were under his personal profile.
Okay. And
his personal profile would show him as a director for those two companies or whatever.
And are the from date and to date, are those useful for you?
Mostly only in regards to when we're doing free business banking.
Okay.
Sometimes you can look and be like, oh, why was this account not set up, or why was it? And then also useful for MasterCard applications. It asks you how long the business has been running.
Okay.
So useful, but again, not the most useful thing.
Yeah, not in all situations, it sounds like.
But it's good to know when it's also like if I'm looking at that right now and it says, July 3rd, 2018, it's like, oh, this is a brand new customer. Maybe he needs to be onboarded. Maybe he's not enrolled, etc.
Okay.
He might need more attention than someone who's been with us for 15 years.
Okay. So you've looked at all this information. What would you do now?
I would just go next.
Okay. Go for it.
I don't need to cut. So with this new, with the new admin console, you don't need to fill out any form. You would just go through this.
Oh, sorry, you said you don't need to fill out any form?
Yeah, because like for instance, if I was filling out a form, I would be writing down like more about Bob Burley because he's the administrator.
Okay. Let me actually ask you, where do you think this information you're looking at is pulling from?
I would assume that it's pulling from CRM.
Okay.
Because that's where all the customers' information is.
Okay. Does that change the answer to your question at all, or change your question?
No. It's just, I'm wondering, like, this console, is it when I get through all these steps, is it going to enroll the customer?
Again.
I would assume that.
Okay, so that is the case, yes.
Perfect. I'm just making sure because that's so new to us, because usually, like, we would have to just write down all this information and copy and paste it somewhere.
Okay, so how does it feel just having this in front of you?
I almost feel dumb because it's like, it's so, it's like a dream.
Too easy, eh?
I'm questioning myself.
Okay, well, tell me about what you're doing at this. Okay. And how many accounts does this company have, and all in all?
One. Oh, yeah, these are different. 5.
Oh, I just noticed that Shamir is putting some notes in. Can we have this now?
It looks like they have 5. Oh, no, there's more down here.
What are your thoughts on how this information is laid out?
It's awesome. So it has operating US dollar and Canadian. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything on this page.
And so let's say that this particular client, they don't want all of their accounts associated with online banking. They actually only just want 2 of them, and that would be operating 1 and operating 2. How would you go about selecting just those 2?
I would assume that I have to turn these off.
Okay, go ahead and give it a shot. Okay. All right. And now for services, these guys want to enable account-to-account transfers for those 2 accounts you just selected, but they have some stipulations. So they would like to have no limit on the amount of money that can be transferred, but they want each transfer to have at least 3 approvals. Can you show me how you might do this? Now tell me, did you just delete or did you type in 0?
I deleted.
Okay.
So I'm
great.
assuming I have to type in that. So if I put in a 0 limit, is that gonna remove the limit? Gonna stop them from being able to send?
Yeah, so again, just because it's a prototype, it's not necessarily saving what you put in there, but
Right.
yeah, you can assume that you made the right action.
Okay, and parallel and sequential meaning?
Yeah, talk to me about what those mean for you. What do you think that is?
A prototype. That they have to approve in a certain order.
Okay.
Or I can choose if it doesn't matter if they approve in a certain order or not. That's what I take from that.
Okay, so parallel would be in a certain order and sequential would be no order at all?
The opposite.
The opposite? Okay.
Because sequential is in a sequence, is what I'm assuming.
Okay. Yeah, so the new system, it's not something that'll happen right away, but there would be an option then for all approvals to be sent out at once, or, you know, the controller has to approve before the CFO approves and that sort of thing.
Oh, so okay, I did get that.
Yeah, you're
Not I feel like.
Please don't be. I just keep throwing back on you. I'm trying not to answer your questions on purpose, but not to confuse you.
No. Okay, so then I did that for these 2 accounts is what I'm assuming here, because
Okay.
I put in the limit, the amount, and the approval type, and it's showing which account I've selected.
Okay.
But this has nickname. I didn't want these guys.
Yeah, and again, just because it's a prototype, it's kind of put in more than there should be, but you can assume if it was an actual functioning system, it would only bring in those 2 accounts that you selected.
Okay, would I have to reselect these because they're the same as operating 1 and 2?
Oh, based on the numbers, you mean?
Yeah.
Again, those are just placeholders.
Okay, great. So that part's done.
Okay.
I would go through this list on the left is what I'm assuming.
Okay. But let's say for now that they're only really interested in transfers.
Okay.
And then we'll get you to keep going. What's this step of the process about?
So assigning an online administrator, you have to pick someone to have access to all the ATBOL features, and then from there they'll be able to add other or manage roles of other people.
Okay.
So in CRM, this guy's already listed as the administrator, so by nature I would just select him.
Okay, let's do it.
And then this is just verifying customers' information. Maybe something's changed since the beginning, so it's just a review.
Okay.
It's again listing the relationships. It's showing me the accounts that I selected.
All right. And again, you can assume it's just the prototype being a prototype, but only the 2 that you selected would come through there.
For sure. And again, it being a prototype didn't actually save
transfers for you and all kinds of things.
And it added NRFE transfers for me, which is really cool that it does that. So it should show me all the other services then that I didn't actually go through.
Okay.
It showed me that assigned administrator, their active, their email, and then I would just complete it.
Okay. And before you click complete, so tell me in your current processes, when you're adding or assigning an administrator, how do you typically communicate with them and let them know that that's successfully been done?
Like how do I tell them that they're the administrator?
Yeah.
So usually when someone calls in, we go off if it's a 2 to sign account or if there's only 1 to sign or either any. Usually the person calling in is going to be the admin, and we would just let them know that So whether it's via email or over the phone, we would let them know that you're going to be set up as the administrator. You can go ahead and edit or manage roles at a later date, but it'll be you receiving your login information to your email and etc.
Okay. So let me get you to complete the process now.
So just one last question here. In regards to the assigned administrator, when it was asking for that parallel or sequential or etc., is that the equivalent of signing authorities? Like how many there are to sign on the account?
What's your impression based on what you saw? And feel free to go back if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm assuming that that's the equivalent when we pull up like SQN to see how many signatures we need.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't see that I would ask for that.
Okay.
Because when we do like online banking, we would need to check SQN to see how many signatures are filed. Or like, for instance, if Amanda and Bob were both signers, they might both need to fill.
Okay.
Again, you only assign one administrator either way, but you would need 2 signatures.
Okay. So let me get you to go back one more time again.
Sure.
Do you see a way that you could add Amanda and Lolita as administrators as well?
If I just click on one, because it lets me select more than one.
Yeah, so what do you think about being able to do that, assign more than one admin?
I think that's a flaw in the system because there can only be one admin.
Okay. Let me get you to elaborate a little more.
So there can only be one online ATBOL administrator. Okay. The way it works right now with the services or the system that we're using is if on CRM you listed 2 people, let's say Bob and Amanda here, as an ATBOL admin, they would reach back out to you and they would say, you have 2 admins, there can only be one, which one is it?
Okay.
And they would make you remove that relationship.
And how would you feel if I were to tell you on this new system, though, that you would be allowed to add more than one admin?
I think that would be really helpful to some businesses who, need their employees or whatever to run this stuff for them and don't always want to share their own information or etc.
Okay.
I think it's a setback right now that they have to go through an entire different system and manage a role and create another one and go through this whole process just to give someone else access.
Right, fair enough.
So definitely, I think that's a benefit to them if they do decide that they want more than one.
Okay.
And if that's the case, then it makes sense that you can check mark as many as you want. But if that's not the case, then that shouldn't be an option.
Okay, sounds good.
Because it's just like a tease.
Well, as long as everything looks good to you here, let's finish up.
Has been sent to the administrator, as in they sent them an email?
Yeah, is that what you would assume based on what you just read?
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah, so let's say in this new system then, once the admin is assigned, the system would automatically send an email that would require that person to set up their own username and password and to create like an online profile for themselves. What are your thoughts on that?
That's amazing. Yeah, I don't see any flaw in that. Right now, we give them we come up with their username and their password, and they're always forgetting them. So I don't see a flaw in that. To be honest, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
This whole thing is really, really cool. There's not as much to work on as I think maybe you think there is. It's pretty straightforward for the most part.
That's great to hear.
And really cool.
So what do you think might happen, Ennis, if you were to click view company details? What would you expect to see?
Kind of just a recap of what I've set them up with is what I would assume would come up.
Okay. And what about if you were to select enroll another company?
I would assume that it would take me back to the first page search engine.
Okay. And so again, because this is just yeah, it would, yeah.
Okay.
So if this, because it's just a prototype, you're not looking at the information you just entered in?
Right. Okay. Yeah, I would assume it would bring me back here to the search engine without all this information.
Okay. So while we are on this page and we're looking at all the results that you got from that previous search, can you tell me a little bit, just because we didn't stop when we first started, but tell me a little bit about what all those different columns mean for you?
Yeah, so this is clearly the company name, the business name. The type, I'm assuming it would be business or personal, if other than this. I'm not sure what user means.
Okay, but your assumption would be personal banking?
When it says user, I almost feel like it's another ATB employee.
Okay, what makes you think that?
Because like it's, when I see user, I'm assuming like someone using this protocol or this system, and I'm like, oh, like that's like me, like I would pop up there.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a funny use of labeling.
It would say personal or corporate or CFS or whatever, or investment or whatever it is.
Okay.
BP number is the identification here. Address, phone number, pretty straightforward. And then the online platform, what does this mean?
Yeah, what do you think that's there for?
I have no idea what that means. Fiserv. Like full service?
Yeah, so let's assume that you're using this, like we are just launching the new system out to clients. So some of them might be using the newly designed system. Some might not be. Some might have a password and login for both systems, the old one and the new one. Or they might just have the old one. Does having that information change what this information means for you?
No, so current, I don't know. So this one's not enrolled clearly. Okay. I don't know what both current or Fiserv is referring to here.
Okay.
So both, if they're using the old platform and the new platform?
Yeah, so that would be what the intent was, but it's really good to know that that's not really coming through.
Okay, and then current, they're only using the current platform, and this one is just the previous?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's just me as a person, but I didn't get that at all.
No, and you're not the first person to go, what's Fiserv? Yeah. So something that we need to work on.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I didn't click with that, to be honest, but that's just me.
Okay. Any information here that's not quite important for you?
No, I feel like it's all pretty important.
Okay.
The email populates by itself on the next page, so I guess that doesn't need to be shown here. But these are all things that, like, for example, if I didn't know the company name, I would search by the BP. If I didn't know the BP, I would search by the phone number.
Right.
Or I would usually use an email address to search for someone, not a house address.
Okay. Would it be useful for you to see the email on this screen?
Just in regards to, like I said, sometimes a customer might reach out or through care or etc., and you're more likely to have their email than you are to have their home address.
Okay.
So again, like right now in CRM, I can search a customer through any of those things: their company name, their business name, their phone number, their email. If maybe you don't know how to spell or miss a number or whatever, but you would almost never search for their actual home address.
Okay, that's really good information to know. So I'm gonna jump into our next task here. And let's say as you were finishing setting up Adventus Inc., you received a phone call from an existing client who needs some help with their online services. All the information that this person wants to give you is their current username. How might you go about finding the BP for this client based on that information alone? Through this system.
I would try to search it here again.
Okay. Do you see another way you might be able to do it? Okay.
So if the name would be their username or their personal name? I would assume this is their personal name.
Yeah, so let's say what they want to give you is the username. I saw you trying to click on users.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
Is that wrong?
No, nothing's right or wrong. Just curious to see.
Because I'm hoping that would populate a search for just a username.
Okay. And did you notice the customize field button there?
I just had like the more you know rainbow go over my head.
So again, because it's a prototype, it's not remembering your selection, but let me get you to open that up one more time.
Sure.
So what are your thoughts on this level of detail and being able to customize fields?
I love that.
Why is that? Why is that useful?
It's just super useful to be able to pull up anything that you may need, or even take away things that maybe you don't really care for at that time. If we could add PFS IDs to this, that would be amazing.
If you can add what, sorry?
PFS IDs. Okay. Those are their tax remittance numbers. So sometimes customers call in and they want to pay their taxes and they don't remember their ID that they were set up with, and we always have to reach back out to cash management to tell us it.
Oh, okay.
So it's not available to us on CRM the way these things already are. Definitely a little bit of a setback there.
Okay, so that might be useful for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Anything here that's not quite...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I think in regards to being able to customize or having that there, super helpful. Especially like in this case, I'm just looking for their username. That's great. I think that's everything. Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Any pieces of information here that you think maybe are not as useful? Like just...
The debit card?
Okay.
A little unnecessary, I feel like. I've never had to get that number from anybody.
Okay, that's good to know.
Name, business number, phone, email, I think those are all regular or useful search things. The debit card, not so much.
All right. And so having...
Especially being so digital. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, fair enough. Especially being so digital. Sorry, what were you going to say?
That I wouldn't normally ask a customer for that information if that's what they were providing to me to make me look for them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't say, give me your debit card number.
Just by virtue of what you're talking to them about, which is online banking.
Yeah, whereas I would say, like, what's your email or your username or your phone number, but I wouldn't say, give me your personal banking information.
Okay, fair enough. So having seen both screens, this sort of advanced search and that basic search that we were on before, what do you prefer?
I think they're both really great. I think the advanced is for customers that are just harder to find. So I feel like the basic is useful if you already have information, and the advanced is useful if you don't. So I can't say that I prefer one over the other because I feel like it's circumstantial.
Okay, just different use cases, I guess.
Exactly.
All right.
But I mean, obviously, I'd rather use the basic if I had their information. It's much quicker.
Okay.
So but the advanced is super useful if I'm lacking in information.
Okay. So let's say that you got another phone call now, and this is from Busy Day, a person named John Doe who works at Adventures Inc. He's a recent hire and was just added onto online banking. However, he says he never received an email from ATB to set up his account profile. How might you go about resending that email to John Doe?
I would search for him and find this.
Okay.
And I would click on it. And he didn't receive his email, right?
That's right.
Pending enrollment, so I'm going to click on him.
Okay.
Resend invitation.
Okay, go for it. Okay.
That's what I do.
Okay.
And that's it.
So let me get you to go back to the previous screen just really quickly.
Oh, there's a reset password.
So talk to me a little bit about the information you see here.
Sure. So these are the users for this company.
Okay.
These two are pending enrollment. with complete, I'm assuming that means that their enrollment has been completed.
Okay.
Draft, just by looking at that, I would assume that someone started the process but didn't finish it.
Okay.
The roles here, they haven't been assigned a role, they have. And active, I'm assuming is just referring to how much they're using their ATBO.
Okay. Now let me get you to go back into John Doe.
Sure.
Sorry, take you back and forth here.
No worries.
I noticed you noticed that you can reset his password from this page. What else can you do to help John Doe?
You can deauthorize his mobile device or generate a backup code. You can adjust his account, service limits, his role, or his audit trail.
Okay. So
It's really cool. So are these his personal accounts or are these the business's accounts?
again, what would you assume?
Well, I clicked on his personal, so I would want to assume it's for him, but right here it says the company name,
Okay.
so I'm a little torn.
Okay. So these
And
are
there's a
the
lot of them, so I'd assume they're for his business.
business accounts that John Doe has access to,
Okay.
which could differ from the accounts that another user has access to.
Right. Okay, and here you'd be able to make him an admin just by turning this on?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Pretty cool, just a click of a button.
What about that audit trail information?
It'll find all these totals. That's just his activity, it looks like.
Okay. Have
That's
you,
pretty useful, I guess, if they call and they say they haven't been able to access it or so on and so forth, you can see when they last were able to.
okay. So let's say that while you're on the phone with him, John Doe tells you that he wants to change the transaction limits for e-transfers for the whole company. So let's assume that you've already looked into it and he's authorized to make this request. How would you help him do this?
So I'd go on to here where I am and I would click on interact e-transfers.
Okay.
And he wants to change his limit.
Yeah, he wants to change the transaction limits for the whole company.
So that would be for transfers, not Interact e-transfers. Yeah.
Would I be going back to the company as opposed to him, or would it be the same thing?
What do you think should happen here? Like, where do you want to be able to do this?
I feel like I should be going through the business profile.
Okay. Well, feel free to give it go to where you think you need to go. Okay. I might help you through the process a little bit. Hang on.
Yeah, thank you.
It will. You went to the right place. It should be able to take you back. It's just we visited so many pages, right?
Yeah.
Why do I always get lost in here? Oh, that's why. Here we go. Okay, go ahead and click once and you should be able to take the mouse back.
Okay, great. So I went back to the company VP.
Okay.
And I'm going to go to their services and limits. And I'm going to I don't see an X button.
Okay.
Am I in the wrong place?
Let me take you back one.
Sure. Oh, okay, I'll just click here.
It sounds like that wasn't necessarily noticeable, hey, though, until I put the mouse there.
Yeah, it looks like it's just telling me what it is, not that I can just edit it directly here.
Okay.
But that's just something I didn't know. It's not a big deal.
Okay. But it's good to know, though, that that wasn't immediately evident.
Yeah, I feel like most of the time you're just looking for like a button somewhere that says edit details.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you might accidentally click here and switch out some numbers, right? So usually you have to go through that process of being like, I'm consciously editing this.
Fair enough. Yeah, and we are dealing with a lot of funds here too, right?
Exactly. So by clicking on it by accident and deleting a zero or adding a zero, as opposed to editing a detail and then clicking on it.
Okay.
So he wanted to change his transaction limit.
Yeah,
let's do that here.
Change it to 5,000. Which again, you might not be able to. Okay, because it's just the prototype, but that's okay. Let's just pretend you could and it got changed.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say you've done that and you also want to deactivate bill payments for this company. How would you do that?
So I've done that and I want to deactivate bill payments.
Mm-hmm.
I would stay where I am right now, which is, and I would scroll down to bill payment.
Okay.
And I would turn it off. I would read this warning so I don't get in trouble. And then I would deactivate.
Okay. And so how do you expect the client to be notified that you have done these actions?
I would hope there's an automated email.
Okay. And what would you want it to say?
Hey, John Doe, as per your request, your bill payments have been turned off as of July 3rd, 2017. Should you have any questions, reach out to me, etc.
Okay.
But I wouldn't like things like that. I think are very like short and sweet. If you're not sending out like login information and stuff, I don't feel like there needs to be too much information.
Okay. Just enough so they know what and when and that sort of thing.
Yeah, or as your request has been completed, etc.
Okay. So while you're here, you remember that there is another employee who works for Adventures Inc. that you haven't finished enrolling as a user. Tell me how you would be able to find out who that user is.
I would go to users.
Okay.
And reach out to someone I'm not finished enrolling.
Yeah.
I would assume it's this guy.
Okay. So go ahead and show me how you might finish that process for him.
So he has like no information available.
Yeah, well, you can actually assume because it's just the prototype, but at least the first name and last name should come through because it had been started, but let's just get you to enter whatever in. Perfect. Oh yeah, tab might not work just because the prototype, but it would in the actual system. Everybody always tries to tab every time. It's so second nature, isn't it?
It really is.
What does that mean for you, that box that you just clicked?
So the user is already a customer.
Okay.
So they're just gonna fill in their information, is what I'm assuming that's up.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, and then let's say that this person's a finance manager.
Does it matter if he's an accountant or a junior accountant?
No, we'll just assign one role to him. It doesn't matter which one.
And then verification complete.
Okay. So I know that this is a fairly new thing and it's not something that team members are currently able to do, but what are your thoughts about being able to create new users in the system, not just the admins?
I think it's really great. In this case, the new users are like, what did I just do? That guy wasn't enrolled for online banking?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat that?
That this draft that I completed, I enrolled him for online banking, right?
Yeah, you essentially enrolled him for online banking. It didn't save here, but you can assume that now it would say complete, and he's a, what did we say, an assistant or something like that.
Right. I think that's really helpful. It's quick and short.
Okay. How often are you finding that our customers are having issues with creating users and things like that? Are those issues that come through to you? Every time?
Yeah, they don't know how, and that's fair, because it's like we can't emulate screens, but I have seen what their online banking looks like, and it is confusing. And you have to click on like administrator roles, add roles, and then you have to select what capabilities that user will have.
Right.
As in, are they going to be able to send e-transfers or payments, or can they not, or etc. So for someone who isn't very tech savvy or using an older system or something like that, it's kind of exhausting.
Okay.
And then once they have created a new role, they're like, okay, now what happens? Like, are they going to get a username and password? Are they going to get their own email? Like, how do they log in now? So there's a lot of questions around that.
Okay. And I think those are all of the questions I had for you. I'm going to check in with Dion one more time and just make sure that he doesn't have anything he wants to add.
Oh, sorry, I was talking while on mute.
Oh, really?
I did have one question. Back in the intro, you mentioned the recommendation engine and how helpful that was for you. Is there any features from that you think can be pulled into the admin console here, or did this kind of solve all the helpful things that recommendation engine does for you?
It's a good question. I feel like, considering what it's for, as in solely the setup online banking, it's super useful. I guess the one thing I forgot to ask about, or maybe didn't notice, or was just so overwhelmed with how amazing this is, in regards to services, do you mind if I go back in here?
Go for it, yeah.
So is there going to be the capability to set customers up with additional cash management services?
Sorry, what was that?
Is that in the works?
To set them up with more services? Yeah, so I mean, this list isn't exhaustive, as you know. We've only thrown a couple on here, but you can assume that what you would see on that list is all of the services that are available to people, whether or not they have
one-offs, EFTs, and all of that.
Exactly.
So yeah, if that's the answer to my question, then my answer to your question is that no, because that would be the only thing really that's different between this and recommendation engine. I can see their accounts, how much they have in their accounts. I can see their rules. The only difference is I can't see what kind of services they do or don't have.
Okay, so from this
which
view,
is what recommendation engine shows me.
Yeah, from this view, you would be able to see what services they do and don't have.
Perfect. In that regard, then there's really nothing missing.
Okay, that's great. Would you find it helpful to see what parent companies these accounts may be linked to?
Yeah, I think that's definitely helpful. The second thing, to answer your question with a question, is would they be able to see all those accounts on their online banking? Like when it says parent company and then the subsidiary, when this person logs into their online banking, are they seeing all the accounts?
That's a good question. I'm going to take a page out of Christina's book and ask if that's what you would like to see.
I think it should be an option. It shouldn't be automatic, because some people do want to see it and some people don't. But we definitely get a lot of requests, on a day-to-day, so many people saying, I want to link my accounts, whether it be their business to business or personal to business. So I think the option to link should be somewhere in there, and that's something that we click, like yes, link accounts, or no, don't, or whatever that looks like for you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great feedback. Thank you.
And notice Shamir sent in a quick note saying this could help over 800 clients a month.
Oh, for sure.
So do you have any final comments about anything that we've talked about or anything you've seen?
I think those two questions just prompted me, to realize just the additional cash management and the account linking are definitely something that we deal with a lot.
Okay.
So that would be super helpful. But just in regards to like a general overview, I think it looks really, really good. Straightforward for the most part. I don't feel like there was too many like, oh, I'm not sure where to go. I feel like it's easy to navigate. So no, overall, not really. I think it looks great.
Okay. And how does the prospect of switching over to this tool for support purposes make you feel?
Wonderful. That would be such a time saver, honestly.
Okay.
My only question, I guess, in that regard is like when we set customers up with online banking, we make them sign a cash management and treasury form that gives us permission to, you know, it's just compliance. At the end of the day, we have to have it on and bill payments and stopping payments and cash management service, etc. So my question to that end is, do they still need to sign that form?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what it would actually look like. Please get rid of the forms, Shamir says. I'm not exactly sure what that would end up looking like. That would be more of a product team question. So having said that, though, we'll bring that feedback forward.
Perfect. Just because I feel like if we still have to fill out that form and then as well use this, it's not as helpful as if eliminate the form to use this.
Okay. Sounds good.
We'll
make sure.
How is that form currently sent out and signed?
DocuSign.
Okay, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, or some people send it through email, they print it, they scan it back, and occasionally it's filled out on paper to pen in branch. So it's more of a compliance piece more than anything, but if we were, for example, if that was something that you guys were dealing with, that could be added to this, as in the customer has agreed, or I don't know if there can be a verbal consent, or I'm not sure what that looks like, but that's definitely the worst part about this right now.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think the forms are currently in scope. So with that said, how does that change your feel on the whole thing?
It's still really helpful. It's to be able to change the limits and to be able to see the roles and to link the accounts and all that stuff. That's still super helpful. So like that doesn't change, it doesn't take away from it. It just gives us, like right now we can't support them when they call in and they need a password reset, or when they have those questions about their usernames or those roles, we kind of have to send them off somewhere else. So it's helpful in that sense.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, it's not in scope currently, but it's definitely something we'll keep in mind for the future.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. What I'm gonna
Thank you. I hope I was of some help. I'm not sure.
You were so helpful. What I'm gonna do actually, just before I lose you here, is I'm gonna copy a link into the chat. And what this is that little survey that I sent you ahead of time, asking you to answer those questions, thinking about your current tools that you're using.
Right.
So this will be a link asking you to complete the same questions, but instead of thinking about the tools you're currently using, I want you to think about this experience, knowing that it's just a prototype and there's a lot that needs to be worked on.
Yeah, for sure.
Think about the concept of it. I just sent the link through chat, so just confirm that you're able to open that link, and once you do, just complete that as soon as you can.
Perfect. Yeah, I've got it.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you.
So much.
Thank you. You've been so helpful.
Thank you. This is great. Good job. Thank you for bringing this to us.
It's on its way. We're going to take your guys' feedback, make it better.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much. That was great.